The Midnight Discovery. The perimeter sensors at Outpost Theta 7 rarely picked up anything more exciting than space debris or the occasional solar wind disturbance. Located on the dark side of Earth's moon, the facility's primary purpose was monitoring deep space communications and maintaining the quantum array that kept humanity's far-flung colonies connected. But on this particular night, as Earth cast its shadow across the lunar surface, something extraordinary breached the sensor grid. Chief Engineer Sarah Chen was halfway through her midnight protein bar when the first alarm sounded. The signal was unlike anything she'd encountered in her 15 years of service, a complex pattern of gravitational waves that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. She abandoned her meager meal and rushed to the primary monitoring station, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. "Talk to me, Martinez," she called out to her sensor specialist, who was already furiously working at his console. "It's big, Chief," Martins replied, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic display. "Whatever it is, it's caught in Earth's gravity well, and it's not handling it well. The energy signature. I've never seen anything like it." Sarah leaned over at his shoulder, studying the readings. The object was massive, easily the size of a colonial transport ship, but its construction was far beyond anything in humanity's current arsenal. Its hull appeared to be composed of materials that shouldn't exist according to their understanding of physics. "Get me a visual," she ordered, and Martinez complied, redirecting one of their deep space telescopes. The image that materialized on the main screen drew gasps from everyone in the control room. The vessel was beautiful in its alienness, a series of interconnected organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal, now marred by what appeared to be weapon damage. But what caught Sarah's attention was the faint pulse of light emanating from its core, beating like a failing heart. "Chief," Martinez's voice was tight with urgency, "I'm picking up a transmission. Well, you should hear this." He activated the audio feed, and a sound filled the control room that made the hair on the back of Sarah's neck stand up. It wasn't just a signal, it was a song, a haunting melody harried on waves of quantum data. The ship's AI translation matrix worked for several seconds before producing a result that made Sarah's blood run cold. "Help. Medical supplies. Millions dying. Please." The message repeated in a loop, each iteration growing weaker. Sarah didn't hesitate. She opened a channel to the facility commander. "Commander Walsh, this is Chen. We've got a situation that requires immediate attention, requesting emergency authorization to activate the gravity anchor." There was a pause before Walsh's reply came through. "Chen, that anchor's never been tested under real conditions. We could lose the whole facility. If we don't try, we're going to watch that ship break apart in Earth's atmosphere." Sarah countered, already running calculations in her head. "And whatever they're carrying, whatever they're trying to save, that'll be on us." Another pause, longer this time. Sarah could almost hear Walsh weighing the risks against their duty as representatives of humanity. Authorization granted, Walsh finally responded. "But Chen, don't make me regret this." Sarah was already moving, barking orders to her engineering team. The gravity anchor was her design, a theoretical solution to capturing and stabilizing ships in distress. It had worked in simulations, but this would be its trial by fire. "Spool up the quantum core," she commanded, sliding into the anchor control station. "Martinez, I need continuous telemetry on that ship. Jackson, get me a power reading. I need to know exactly how much juice we can spare." The outpost hummed to life around them, as power was diverted to the massive array hidden beneath the lunar surface. Sarah's fingers flew across the controls, making microscopic adjustments to compensate for the alien vessel's unusual mass distribution. "Core at 90%, Jackson reported. Anchor field forming." On the main screen, a web of blue energy began to extend from the outpost, reaching out toward the stricken vessel like a lifeline. Sarah held her breath as the field made contact, watching as readings spiked across her display. "Field is holding," Martins announced, though strain was evident in his voice. But the ship's structure, it's reacting to the anchor in ways we didn't predict. It's almost like it's alive. Sarah watched in fascination as the vessel's hull seemed to ripple in response to their field, the strange material adapting and interacting with their technology in ways that should have been impossible. But impossibilities were part of her job description. "Begin the pull," she ordered, initiating the anchor's primary sequence. "Nice and easy. Let's bring them home." As the alien ship was slowly drawn toward the lunar surface, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a rescue mission. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but no one had imagined it would happen like this, not with a damaged vessel carrying medical supplies and a desperate plea for help. The ship's song continued to echo through the control room, but now it was joined by a new sound, the deep bass rumble of the gravity anchor as it fought against the forces trying to tear their visitor apart. Sarah Chen stood at her station, hands steady on the controls, knowing that the next few hours would either mark a triumph of human ingenuity or a catastrophic failure that could doom not only the alien vessel but potentially millions of lives depending on its cargo. "Hold together," she whispered, though whether to the ship or her own technology, she wasn't sure. "Just hold together." Against all odds. The lunar surface trembled as the alien vessel descended onto landing pad Alpha, its massive form casting long shadows in the Earth's reflected light. Sarah Chen watched through the reinforced windows of the preparation chamber as her team rushed to secure the ship, their shadows dancing across the regolith like ancient lunar spirits. "Environmental readings are stable," Martins reported through the comlink. "But that hull temperature is concerning. We're registering fluctuations between -200 and +300 degrees Celsius. It's like nothing we've seen before." Sarah checked the seals on her advanced engineering suit one final time. Unlike standard EVA gear, this prototype was designed for extreme conditions and complex repairs. She'd helped design it herself, though she never expected its first real test would involve alien technology. "Jackson, what's the structural analysis showing?" she asked, stepping into the airlock. "The ship's outer layer appears to be some kind of adaptive metallic compound." Jackson's voice crackled through the comm. "But it's the inner layers that are fascinating. They're moving, almost like circulation in a living organism." The airlock cycled, and Sarah stepped out onto the pad. Up close, the alien vessel was even more remarkable. Its surface shifted subtly, like the skin of some vast space-faring creature. The damage was extensive. Deep gashes and burns marred its beautiful form, and from some of the wounds, a luminescent fluid leaked slowly, freezing instantly in the lunar vacuum. "All right, team, this is what we've trained for," Sarah announced, though of course, they'd never trained for anything like this. "Martinez, maintain constant bioscan monitoring. Jackson, I want real-time structural updates. If anything shifts even a millimeter, I want to know about it." She approached what appeared to be an access point, a spiraling pattern in the hull that pulsed weakly with internal light. As she drew closer, the pattern began to move, responding to her presence. The ship was aware of them. "Chief," Martinez's voice held a note of concern, "I'm detecting increasing activity in what we think is the ship's central nervous system. It might be trying to communicate." As if in response to Martinez's words, the spiral pattern suddenly expanded, revealing an opening into the vessel's interior. A rush of atmosphere escaped, carrying with it a scent that their suit's sensors couldn't quite categorize, something between ozone and organic decay. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior was unlike anything human engineering had conceived. The corridors seemed to breathe, walls lined with what appeared to be vast networks of organic circuitry. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along these networks, though many were interrupted by damage or had gone dark entirely. "This isn't just a ship," she breathed, her words barely a whisper. "It's alive, or at least partly alive. Some kind of hybrid technology." She made her way deeper into the vessel, following the strongest energy signatures. The ship's internal gravity was failing, causing debris to float eerily in the corridors. As she approached what seemed to be a central chamber, her suit's sensors began picking up new readings. "Chief," Jackson's voice was urgent. "We're detecting multiple power surges throughout the ship. Whatever's keeping it alive, it's failing fast." Sarah entered the central chamber and stopped short. Before her floated what could only be the ship's heart, a massive crystalline structure surrounded by webs of living circuitry. But the crystal was cracked, its normal brilliant glow reduced to a sickly flicker. "I think I've found the problem," she reported, approaching the crystal carefully. "The main power cord is damaged. But this isn't like any power system I've ever seen. It's integrated with organic components, like the ship grew around it." She pulled out her diagnostic tools, but they were struggling against all odds. The lunar surface trembled as the alien vessel descended onto landing pad Alpha, its massive form casting long shadows in the Earth's reflected light. Sarah Chen watched through the reinforced windows of the preparation chamber as her team rushed to secure the ship, their shadows dancing across the regolith like ancient lunar spirits. "Environmental readings are stable," Martins reported through the comlink. "But that hull temperature is concerning. We're registering fluctuations between -200 and +300 degrees Celsius. It's like nothing we've seen before." Sarah checked the seals on her advanced engineering suit one final time. Unlike standard EVA gear, this prototype was designed for extreme conditions and complex repairs. She'd helped design it herself, though she never expected its first real test would involve alien technology. "Jackson, what's the structural analysis showing?" she asked, stepping into the airlock. "The ship's outer layer appears to be some kind of adaptive metallic compound." Jackson's voice crackled through the comm. "But it's the inner layers that are fascinating. They're moving, almost like circulation in a living organism." The airlock cycled, and Sarah stepped out onto the pad. Up close, the alien vessel was even more remarkable. Its surface shifted subtly, like the skin of some vast space-faring creature. The damage was extensive. Deep gashes and burns marred its beautiful form, and from some of the wounds, a luminescent fluid leaked slowly, freezing instantly in the lunar vacuum. "All right, team, this is what we've trained for," Sarah announced, though of course they'd never trained for anything like this. "Martinez, maintain constant bioscan monitoring. Jackson, I want real-time structural updates. If anything shifts even a millimeter, I want to know about it." She approached what appeared to be an access point, a spiraling pattern in the hull that pulsed weakly with internal light. As she drew closer, the pattern began to move, responding to her presence. The ship was aware of them. "Chief," Martinez's voice held a note of concern. "I'm detecting increasing activity in what we think is the ship's central nervous system. It might be trying to communicate." As if in response to Martinez's words, the spiral pattern suddenly expanded, revealing an opening into the vessel's interior. A rush of atmosphere escaped, carrying with it a scent that their suit's sensors couldn't quite categorize, something between ozone and organic decay. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior was unlike anything human engineering had conceived. The corridors seemed to breathe, walls lined with what appeared to be vast networks of organic circuitry. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along these networks, though many were interrupted by damage or had gone dark entirely. "This isn't just a ship," she breathed, her words barely a whisper. "It's alive, or at least partly alive. Some kind of hybrid technology." She made her way deeper into the vessel, following the strongest energy signatures. The ship's internal gravity was failing, causing debris to float eerily in the corridors. As she approached what seemed to be a central chamber, her suit's sensors began picking up new readings. "Chief," Jackson's voice was urgent. "We're detecting multiple power surges throughout the ship. Whatever's keeping it alive, it's failing fast." Sarah entered the central chamber and stopped short. Before her floated what could only be the ship's heart, a massive crystalline structure surrounded by webs of living circuitry. But the crystal was cracked, its normal brilliant glow reduced to a sickly flicker. "I think I've found the problem," she reported, approaching the crystal carefully. "The main power core is damaged, but this isn't like any power system I've ever seen. It's integrated with organic components, like the ship grew around it." She pulled out her diagnostic tools, but they were struggling to make sense of the readings. The technology was so far beyond their understanding that their instruments could barely interpret what they were seeing. "Chief Chen," Commander Walsh's voice cut through the comm channel. "We're picking up some concerning readings from orbit. There's significant electromagnetic disturbance building in the Earth's magnetosphere. Whatever you're going to do, you need to do it fast." Sarah studied the failing crystal heart, her mind racing. The ship's biological components were clearly trying to heal themselves, but without the power core functioning properly, they were fighting a losing battle. She needed to find a way to stabilize the core long enough for the ship's own systems to recover. The hidden truth. The moment Sarah's device connected with the crystal heart, the entire ship came alive with pulsing energy. Circuits that had been dark flickered with renewed purpose, and the walls themselves seemed to quiver with awakening consciousness. But with this revival came something unexpected. A flood of information pouring through the neural interface of her suit. "Martinez," Sarah called out, her voice tight with concentration. "Are you seeing this data stream?" "Affirmative, Chief. It's medical data. Millions of genetic sequences, treatment protocols, cure formulations. This ship isn't just carrying medical supplies, it's carrying the knowledge to save an entire species." The revelation was interrupted by Commander Walsh's urgent transmission. "Chen, we've got multiple objects dropping out of FTL at the edge of our sensor range. They're not broadcasting any recognition signals." Sarah's hands moved quickly over her equipment, stabilizing the power flow as she processed this new threat. Through her neural interface, she could now feel the ship's fear, a deep, resonating dread that made her own heart race. "The ship's showing me something," she reported, watching as images flashed through her mind. "These aren't random attackers. They're corporate mercenaries from its home system, the Nexus Pharmaceutical Consortium." The story unfolded in her consciousness like a dark tapestry. The ship's home world had been ravaged by an engineered virus, released accidentally during corporate experiments. But when a cure was discovered, the consortium had attempted to suppress it, planning to sell treatment doses at astronomical prices. This ship, this brave, living vessel, had been part of a desperate mission to steal the cure and distribute it freely. "They're not here to recover stolen property," Sarah realized aloud, her voice heavy with understanding. "They're here to destroy the evidence of their crimes." Jackson's voice crackled through the comm. "Chief, the outpost's defensive systems are limited. We're not equipped to handle multiple hostile ships." Sarah felt the crystal heart pulse beneath her hands, its rhythm synchronizing with her own racing thoughts. The ship was trying to tell her something else, showing her schematics, weapon systems, defensive capabilities that had been damaged in its escape. "Maybe we don't have to fight," she said, an idea forming. "Martinez, how long until those ships are in weapons range?" 17 minutes at current velocity. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities, combining human ingenuity with the alien knowledge now flowing through her neural interface. "Commander Walsh, I need authorization to attempt something extremely unorthodox. We're going to merge our quantum core with the ship's biological systems." There was a long pause before Walsh responded. "The risks are less than letting millions die because we were too cautious," Sarah interrupted. "This ship isn't just carrying medicine. It's carrying justice, evidence that could save countless lives across multiple worlds. We can't let them destroy it." Another pause, shorter this time. "Do it. But Chen, if this goes wrong—" "I know," she acknowledged. "Everyone else evacuates. I'll take full responsibility." Sarah began the dangerous process of integrating their quantum technology with the ship's living systems. It was like performing surgery and programming a supercomputer simultaneously, all while the patient was not only conscious but actively participating. "Jackson, I need you to modify the gravity anchor's field generators. We're going to create something these corporate thugs haven't seen before." She sent him a series of calculations, a hybrid of human mathematics and alien theory. "Martinez, start transferring all that medical data to our most secure servers. If we can't save the ship, we at least save its mission." The approaching ships were now visible through the outpost's telescopes, sleek, predatory vessels bristling with weapons. Sarah could feel the alien ship's memories of them, of running battles through asteroid fields and desperate jumps through uncharted space. "They've launched long-range scanners," Martins reported, "trying to assess our capabilities." "Good," Sarah smiled grimly. "Let them scan. They're about to learn that humanity doesn't take kindly to corporate genocide." The ship's crystal heart began to pulse more strongly, its light taking on a new quality as it integrated with the quantum core. Sarah's neural interface was now flooded with possibilities, hybrid technologies that neither humanity nor the ship's creators had imagined alone. "Chief," Jackson's voice held a note of awe, "the gravity anchor is showing power readings off the scale. Whatever you and the ship are doing, we're rewriting the rules." Sarah finished, feeling the combined power of human and alien technology flowing through her interface. Humanity's first contact isn't going to be watching innocent people die. We're going to show the galaxy something else. What happens when you back the wrong species into a corner? The incoming ships began to decelerate, their sensors undoubtedly warning them that something unprecedented was occurring on the lunar surface. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she completed the final connections. Time to show them what humanity and our new friend here can do together. Race against time. The merged quantum biological field erupted from the lunar surface like an aurora, spreading across the dark sky in waves of impossible color. Through her neural interface, Sarah could feel the power coursing through both the ship and outpost Theta 7 systems, human and alien technology singing together in perfect harmony. "Multiple weapon locks detected," Martins announced, his voice steady despite the tension. "They're targeting both the ship and the outpost's main reactor." Sarah's fingers danced across her controls, making microscopic adjustments to the field's resonance. "Jackson, how's the power distribution holding?" "Stable, but only just. Whatever you're planning." "Chief, I hope it works fast. We're pushing both systems way beyond their design limits." The corporate ships had spread out into an attack formation, their intent clear. Through the ship's memories, Sarah could see their typical tactics. Overwhelming force, no survivors, no evidence. But they'd never faced anything like this before. "Martinez, patch me through to the lead vessel," Sarah commanded. "Let's see if we can avoid unnecessary violence." The channel crackled open, and a cold voice filled the comm system. "This is Captain Venn of the NPC Security Force. You are harboring stolen corporate property. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Sarah's response was calm but firm. "This is Chief Engineer Chen of Lunar Outpost Theta 7. We have recorded evidence of your corporation's involvement in a planetary genocide attempt. Stand down, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly why humanity has survived every crisis it's ever faced." A harsh laugh came through the channel. "You're outnumbered, outgunned, and dealing with technology you can't possibly understand. You have 5 minutes to comply." Sarah cut the transmission and turned to her real work. Through the neural interface, she began implementing the hybrid defense system she and the ship had designed together. It was beautiful in its elegance, human quantum engineering principles applied to living alien technology in ways neither civilization had imagined. "Jackson, initiate the gravity anchor pulse sequence. Martinez, prepare to redirect power to the outer field on my mark." She took a deep breath, feeling the ship's consciousness merge more deeply with her own. Time to show them what understanding really means. The corporate ships launched their first volley, a barrage of plasma torpedoes designed to overwhelm standard defensive shields. But the quantum biological field wasn't standard. As the weapons approached, the field rippled like living tissue, absorbing and redistributing their energy. "They're charging their main weapons," Martins reported. "Energy readings are off the charts." "Perfect," Sarah smiled. "That's exactly what we need. Jackson, prepare for field inversion on my mark." The corporate ships fired, their combined firepower enough to crack a small moon. But instead of impacting the field, their energy was caught, channeled, and transformed. The quantum biological matrix Sarah had created didn't just defend. It adapted, learned, and evolved. "Now," Sarah commanded, throwing all her focus into the neural interface. The field inverted, turning the corporate ship's own energy back on them, not as a weapon, but as a cage. Quantum fields interwove with biological energy patterns, creating a containment system that was both impossibly strong and constantly evolving to counter any attempt to escape. What did you do?" Captain Ven's voice had lost its arrogance. "We took your energy and redesigned it," Sarah explained, monitoring the containment field stability. "Right now, you're being held by a combination of quantum fields and living technology that's learning and adapting to every move you make. The more you struggle, the stronger it gets." "Impossible." This level of integration between disparate technologies isn't impossible at all, Sarah interrupted. "It just requires something your corporation doesn't understand: cooperation. The willingness to work together, to combine strengths, to create something greater than the sum of its parts." Through the neural interface, Sarah felt the alien ship's approval. And something more: hope, not just for its own people, but for the possibility of what humanity and its civilization might achieve together. "You have two choices," Sarah continued. "You can power down your weapons and prepare to face justice for your crimes against sentient life, or you can keep fighting until your reactors burn out. Either way, this ship and its cure are leaving here safely." The corporate ships hung suspended in the quantum biological web, their weapons rendered useless by the constantly evolving field. One by one, their power signatures began to drop as their captains realized the futility of their position. "Chief," Martinez called out, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor, "I'm detecting multiple ships dropping out of FTL. They're broadcasting Alliance peacekeeping codes." Sarah allowed herself to relax slightly, though she maintained her focus on the containment field. The Alliance, Earth's interstellar peacekeeping organization, would ensure justice was served. But more importantly, they would help protect the cure's distribution to those who needed it. "Looks like we did it," she said softly to the ship through their neural link. "We showed them something they never expected: a power of trust between different species." The ship's response flowed through her mind like a warm current: gratitude, respect, and a vision of future cooperation between their peoples that took her breath away. Humanity's promise. In the days that followed the standoff at Outpost Theta 7, Sarah Chen found herself at the center of a diplomatic whirlwind. Alliance peacekeepers had taken custody of the corporate vessels and their crews, while teams of human and alien scientists worked together to stabilize the rescued ship systems and begin production of the life-saving cure. Sarah stood in the observation dome, watching as shuttles ferried personnel and supplies between the outpost and the newly arrived Alliance vessels. The alien ship, now fully integrated with their quantum systems, pulsed with healthy light, its biological components thriving in the hybrid configuration they'd created together. "The Alliance Council is calling it a watershed moment in interstellar relations," Commander Walsh said, joining her at the window. "Not just the technology sharing, but the willingness to stand up for another species at considerable risk to ourselves." Sarah nodded, absently touching the neural interface that still connected her to the ship. The link had evolved beyond its original purpose, becoming a bridge between two vastly different ways of thinking. "The ship's been showing me its home world," she said quietly. "Cities built into living crystal, technologies that grow instead of being manufactured. They have so much to teach us. And apparently we have things to teach them as well," Walsh replied. "Their scientists are fascinated by our quantum engineering. They never considered combining mechanical and biological systems the way we did during the crisis. Through the neural link, Sarah felt a surge of agreement from the ship. Images flowed into her mind. Future possibilities, hybrid technologies that could revolutionize everything from medicine to space travel. But more than that, she felt its deep gratitude and respect for humanity's actions. Director Chen. Martine is called out, hurrying across the observation dome. Sarah still wasn't used to her new title. The Alliance had insisted on promoting her to Director of Xenotechnological Integration. The first batch of cure synthesis is complete. The Alliance medical ships are ready to begin distribution. Sarah turned from the window, feeling the ship's joy mingling with her own. How many doses in this first run? Enough for 3 major population centers, Martins reported. With the combined manufacturing capabilities of the Alliance and the ship's biological synthesis, we can cover the entire affected population within 2 months. The ship shared another image with her, crowds of its people, their crystalline bodies dim with sickness, waiting for help that had seemed impossible just days ago. Now that help was finally coming, thanks to the courage of this living ship and humanity's willingness to stand against corporate greed. There's something else, Martins added, his expression brightening. The ship, it's asked to stay, to become a permanent part of the outpost and continue our joint research program. Sarah felt the truth of this through their link, the ship's desire to build on what they'd created together, to explore the possibilities that arose when different species chose cooperation over conflict. Of course it can stay, she smiled. We've only scratched the surface of what we can achieve together. Jackson's voice came over the comm system, excitement evident in his tone. Director, you need to see this. The hybrid systems we developed. They're not just working. They're evolving. The ship's biological components are adapting to our quantum technology in ways we never predicted. On my way, Sarah responded, already moving toward the engineering section. Through their link, the ship shared her enthusiasm for the discoveries ahead. Commander Walsh fell into step beside her. You know, when they assigned me to this outpost, I thought it would be a quiet posting. Monitor deep space, maintain the quantum array, stay out of trouble. Sarah laughed. Instead, you got first contact, a corporate standoff, and a revolutionary breakthrough in xenotechnology. Not bad for a quiet posting. Speaking of breakthroughs, Walsh continued, the Alliance Council wants to establish a permanent joint research facility here. They're calling it the Theta 7 Institute for Hybrid Technologies. They want you to run it. Sarah paused, surprised. Through the neural link, she felt the ship's wholehearted approval of the idea. The images it shared showed a future of collaboration, innovation, and mutual understanding between species. Think about it, Walsh said, noting her hesitation. This could be the start of something unprecedented. A place where different species come together, not just to share technology, but to create something entirely new. Sarah thought about the moment she'd first stepped into the ship, about the leap of faith it had taken to merge their technologies, about the triumph they'd achieved together. No need to think about it, she replied. I'm in. As they walked through the outpost corridors, Sarah felt the ship's consciousness brush against her own, sharing a final image, a vast field of stars, filled with possibilities and discoveries waiting to be made. Humanity had proved itself not just through its technology or its courage, but through its fundamental willingness to reach out, to help, to stand up for what was right regardless of the consequences. In that moment, Sarah Chen understood that this was more than just a story of rescue and revolution. It was the beginning of something greater, a future where different species could come together, combine their strengths, and face the challenges of the universe not as competitors, but as allies, as family. The ship's crystal heart pulsed with agreement, its light mixing with the quantum fields in a display of unity that could be seen from Earth, a beacon of hope for anyone who looked up at the moon and dreamed of what might be possible when we choose to work together.